Hello and welcome to this July 2026 update for XWVM. For those that are new to XWVM, welcome. To those who have been following the project already, welcome back. We're excited to share what's new. But first, what is XWVM? XWVM is an independent community-built engine replacement for classic space sim games published by LucasArts in the 90s. Between 1993 and 1999, LucasArts published 4 major games that changed the space sims genre forever: X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, and X-Wing Alliance. XWVM was written from the ground up to support X-Wing, the first game in the series. The work is still ongoing to add support for the TIE Fighter, but more on that later. Using XWVM, players can load in their existing X-Wing installations to play. The experience available will vary depending on which game version is selected, as XWVM uses the original game assets such as models, sounds, and missions. Since the original release of XWVM in May 2025, the team has added new features, enhancements, and bug fixes. The full list is lengthy, but some highlights include new MC-80A cruiser model, MIDI output on Windows, performance improvements such as pre-cached explosions, quality enhancements like improved MFD functionality, VR controls, and a master volume slider. And of course, many bug fixes. Our last public release was in November 2025, but the team has continued to work steadily behind the scenes. We're delighted to share a look at some of the progress that has been made since then. Let's start with art and 3D assets. The major ship model outstanding, as used in X-Wing, is the Nebulon B frigate. XWVM currently falls back to using either the DOS or Windows model, depending on user settings. Our lead artist has been making steady progress with the frigate, which you can see here. This model has posed a number of challenges to build, but we hope that the care, attention, and passion required to make this a reality is clear, even at this stage. Some of the work remaining includes addition of more detail, texturing, and rigging for use in-game. One feature of the original game that has not yet been represented in 3D is the pilot uniform and award section. The team has been working on reimagining this for modern 3D viewing and interaction, and you can see some of this work here. This features a new uniform including design cues from A New Hope and real-life military sources. The uniform is accessed from the pilot bunk, as seen here. Sometimes an issue that seems small can require a large fix. This was the case with XWVM's cutscene support. When tracking down issues with the existing cutscene player, it became apparent that some cutscenes were using features that were not supported. Unfortunately, this required a complete rewrite of the cutscene player, but the results speak for themselves. Fully accurate cutscenes that play smoothly and look great. One of the goals in building XWVM was to provide a modern, immersive space sim experience for the original games. One of the ways that we can now do this is with our new support for dedicated simulation hardware via SimHub or JSON telemetry. XWVM will have the option of streaming events for simulation hardware to act on, such as pitch, roll, firing weapons, taking damage, and many more. This feature is called telemetry and uses either SimHub format or JSON format. Just to be clear, that's a feature to enable your hardware to get data from XWVM. We don't collect your data. It's not that kind of telemetry. While X-Wing has a reputation as a difficult game, for those that are familiar with the series' gameplay and mission structures, it is often less challenging than its successors. To that end, XWVM allows for some optional changes to increase the difficulty of the game and allow a greater challenge for veterans. Since the last release, the team has tweaked these options and behavior further. For example, gunboats no longer turn into transports or get more ships. Instead, they get faster speed, acceleration, and the same maneuverability as the missile boat. They will also swerve earlier off their run when under fire. The Star Destroyer is promoted to receive internal shield generators. Destroying the external shield generators, as in normal gameplay, only drops the shields by a small amount. There have also been a raft of quality of life improvements made throughout the game. Too many to list today, but to name a few. While flying ships that have both laser and ion cannons, some players repeatedly use the action to change their current weapon to increase their firepower, because while the laser cannons are in cooldown, the ion cannons can fire, and vice versa. This is not an exploit, but it is inconvenient to do, and a bit silly to look at, so instead we have added an option in settings that, if enabled, lets you link your laser and ion cannons to fire them together. Ship lights flicker and go out when destroyed. The mouse cursor no longer appears on hyper in or out. In VR, hand controls can now be switched off when using the gaze controls. Increased resolution for the in-flight displays, which makes the map easier to read. A sound is played when a homing warhead is approaching you. This can be turned off in the settings. One of the objectives of XWVM is to increase the reach and accessibility of the original games to a wider audience. Therefore, we aim to support localization for a range of languages beyond the originally supported English and German. Recently, the localization support has been massively expanded within XWVM to encompass most areas of the interface and allow for translations to be performed dynamically by the community. Within the game installation, a series of XLIF and CSV files can be used to localize the game and enable community support for additional languages. We'll publish a full guide about how to do this in the future. Another way that XWVM can improve the reach of the original games is by offering the modern gameplay experience on multiple platforms. To date, we've supported Windows and Linux. For our next release, we'll add Mac support to that roster. XWVM will feature a standard package installer to set up key files for XWVM Core, and a separate package installer will be available for HD assets. As we don't currently sign our builds with an Apple developer key, you may need to allow XWVM to run via Gatekeeper when starting it for the first time. With a project the size and complexity of XWVM, it's an unfortunate reality that there will be bugs. Thankfully, the team has made significant progress in testing and resolving issues constantly. There are far too many bugs to provide an in-depth list, but if you're interested, here's a brief summary. So, we've talked about the new features and changes we've been working on since the last version of XWVM. So you may be asking, when is the next release? While we don't have an exact date, we're satisfied that the testing is progressing well, and we hope that a new version will be available for you to play in the near future. We also have a roadmap that we are continuing to work towards as development continues. As we mentioned earlier, some HD assets are currently not implemented for X-Wing, including the Nebula B frigate, pilot medals, and various concourse rooms that need to be replaced. Of course, any discussion of future XWVM releases would not be complete without discussing TIE Fighter support. While XWVM has internally had support for TIE Fighter for some time now, and we've previously shown gameplay of this in other videos, we don't currently feel that this is at the level of compatibility and polish that would meet the expectations of the community. While all the missions are fundamentally playable, further refinement is needed to complete the experience. For example, players cannot currently enter the hangar to complete a mission. Once we are satisfied that TIE Fighter support is up to the expected standard, you can expect a new release to include this functionality. In the meantime, TIE Fighter support has been progressing well since the last update. The rewritten cutscene player, as mentioned earlier, is much more accurate and can now correctly play back the TIE Fighter cutscenes, some of which previously had a number of issues. We have also been creating some placeholder 3D concourse rooms for use with the campaign. The process of creating full detail assets is painstaking and time-consuming, and realistically, it will take a long time to complete these concourse rooms to the bar we've set, with rooms such as the X-Wing registration room. These placeholder 3D assets allow us to experiment with blocking, functionality, and visuals in a more rapid way, while also providing a potential path to an earlier release of TIE Fighter support without relying on all of the fully detailed assets to be built and completed. A common question we receive is, will XWVM support multiplayer? The answer is that we would love to support multiplayer, and this is a core component of the third game in the series, X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter. To get to the point of implementing this in-game, a significant amount of work is required to record and serialize in-game events in an efficient way. This is also a common problem with the film room. With the original games, the main playback of events was based on saved player inputs. This was an efficient approach for the time, but was unfortunately unreliable in many cases. Any inaccuracies would accumulate over time and the simulation would desync when compared to what was recorded originally. This can typically be seen with longer film room recordings in the original game. We are exploring how best to implement this in a modern and reliable way, and this is one of the main features outstanding in progressing XWVM from an alpha to beta status. So, in summary, where does this leave XWVM? As you can see, the last year has seen a lot of progress across all areas of the project since the initial public release. There is still a lot of work to do, and we are in need of artists to help us bring these classic games into the modern era. Specifically, we are in need of 3D asset artists, 3D environment artists, and 3D character artists to help us build out new ships, cockpits, concourse environments, and characters. If you or someone you know is interested in applying, please contact us through our Discord. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank our amazing community for their support through the project's development. Since release, we've seen a number of community projects such as new missions and campaigns, an AI-voiced add-on for X-Wing missions based on the text-only dialogue sidecars, and community-made translations for new languages. To find out about these initiatives and more, join our community on Discord and follow our page on ModDB. Thank you for watching, and we hope you will join us as we continue to bring these classic games into the modern era.